If you've seen my latest video about whether or not upgrading the RAM in your iMac improves Premiere Pro performance, there's a lot of P's in there. I've barely got by saying that one. Anyway, if you caught my last video, you'll know that I didn't have any joy whatsoever. Literally no ounce of help. In fact, I would go as far as saying it made it even worse. And although I love Premiere Pro and I've been using it for over 2 years now, I have questioned whether or not Final Cut Pro could be a better option for me. And for many of you that are watching this now and may be wondering the same thing. So the plan is to run the free trial of Final Cut Pro and see how I get on with it. But since I know Premiere quite well now and I can edit fairly quickly, I need to know that I can use Final Cut Pro in the same way and edit just as quickly. So I've created a list of requirements to test. And because many of you may be thinking about switching yourself, I thought you might have some questions you want answering. So I put a post out on Instagram and Twitter and I got one reply, one question, one. So thanks Jamie, thanks for that. So I'm going to run through all of my requirements. Hopefully they'll be the main things that people are asking anyway. So you'll get to see the main differences between the two programs throughout this video. But before I jump into the video, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more gear reviews and tutorials. Like the video, please share it with your friends. Comment down below if you've got any questions or if you're going through the same thing. Or if you have made the switch already, let us know your experience in the comments below. Right, anyway, let's get into the video. Let's download this free trial. I'm excited. Try Final Cut Pro free. How long? 30 days, that's good. I've actually read and heard a lot of people say that because Premiere Pro isn't optimized for Apple and Final Cut Pro is, Final Cut Pro can handle 4K footage a lot better than Premiere Pro can on a Apple system. Right, so I've downloaded Final Cut Pro 10, so let's open it for the first time. First of all, I haven't got a clue what's going on the screen, so I'm going to have to learn the ins and outs. I'm not going to show you all this. I want to just show you the differences between the features and also share whether or not it's suitable for my workflow. Okay, so I'm going to answer Jamie's question first, and I really appreciate you taking the time to ask me the question on Instagram like you did, so cheers man. Do Apple Macs / MacBooks run edits smoother? How big is the difference? Let's see. Because I've been having a lot of trouble lately with Premiere Pro, especially when using 4K footage, to the point where I've stopped filming in 4K just because it's a nightmare. In fact, my last video was about if upgrading the RAM on your iMac would make a difference. Spoiler alert, sorry, it doesn't. So I'm going to show you a 4K clip running in Premiere Pro to start with. Excuse the lips being a bit pink because I'm midway through color grading the skin tones. So at the moment I've just got an adjustment layer on with a slight color grade, and also it's at full resolution. I'm going to hit play. Right, I'm in 4K now. I'm filming a little 4K clip to see what Final Cut Pro handles this 4K footage like. How do I look in 4K? I don't know what's going on, but everything seems to be running okay at the moment. I look an idiot. Before that I'd be chopping all over the place. Maybe the gods of Premiere Pro have heard me moaning about it and thought, oh right, best sort it out before he switches to Final Cut Pro. And then here's the same clip in Final Cut Pro. How do I look in 4K? Anyway, so it seems to be handling the 4K footage absolutely fine in both programs. I don't know, I've not done anything to the computer, but it's running better. So it's the same. And that was my main reason for switching really. So another thing that I wanted to test out was the denoiser, because I was thinking about buying a third-party plugin for the denoiser, and it says on Final Cut Pro website that it comes with denoiser like most programs do, and I thought I'd give that a go. But look, this is what it looks like. So you can see here, look what happens there. Let's just turn that off. Right, you can see it actually makes all the, yeah, look what happens there. It's horrible. So that's not worth using, denoiser, especially compared to some third-party plugins that you can get. So denoising, not good enough. Or the sharpening. Right, so check this out. Let's, I'm in Premiere Pro at the moment. That's with 0 sharpness at the moment. If I turn the sharpening sharpness up. You know, I mean, you can tell it's digital sharpening, but it's still natural. When you just turn it up a little bit, maybe like 20%, it's nice and natural. Now look at the same thing in Final Cut Pro. Right, ready? What is that? What's going on there? What is it? It's not sharpen. If you were going to use it, I wouldn't go past 5 before it starts looking really odd. I don't know what that's doing. Look at that. What is that? So I mean, there might be another way of doing it, but bizarre. So there were a couple of things that bugged me when I first opened Final Cut Pro and started using it. Main one being that audio and video skimming were turned on. So you're just moving your mouse around the screen and then the video starts playing back. So wherever you are in your window, you're just moving your mouse along and it just scrubs through the video. That's really annoying. So I just turned it off by unchecking these. Turn audio and video skimming on and off. So I got rid of that straight away, and then as you can see, look, it's normal. With the layout of the window, you can pretty much customize it to however you like. As you can see, I've got mine set pretty close to what I've got Premiere like as well, with the timeline at the bottom, etc. So that's not too bad. I really like the display of the vector scopes. Look how much detail there is there. Let me just make that larger so you can see how much detail is in that. Plus if you go, and I like how you can change the view on this. That's really cool, but look at all that detail. I love that. It's just nice and simple how you can set that up to view, whereas in Premiere, you have to add. Oh, there you go. So you right click in there, and then you add them in there. I quite like Final Cut's version of how that's laid out. I really like that, it's cool. I'm a bit confused with the layout of the projects within Final Cut Pro, because in Premiere I like to have it all set out where I've got my project here and I've got all my bins and my folders in with all my files in, and I just open those folders. So if I want footage, it's in there. If I want sound effects, it's in there, and it's just laid out really nicely. And you'd think it'd be the same, but in here, what's an event? What's a project? What's a folder? It's just a bit clunky, I think. I just want a folder structure like it is anywhere else on a computer. So yeah, it's a bit odd how it's laid out, really. But you'd probably get used to that, so it's not a massive issue. So the difference between the colour wheels in Premiere Pro and Final Cut Pro, I like how you've got 4 colour wheels. You've got a master colour wheel, which is cool, as well as shadows, highlights and midtones. I really like having that master. The curves pretty much exactly the same as Premiere Pro, so on the curves, just laid out in a slightly different way. One thing I use quite often in Premiere Pro is the export frame function, because I like to make thumbnails from the videos. All you do in Premiere to do that is add this little camera icon to the window by clicking the add button, and then you look for the camera icon and it's export frame, and you just drag that into this here. And then, so once you've chosen the frame that you want to capture, click the camera button and then you just give it a name and choose where you want to save it. And I use that quite often, so I thought, right, does Final Cut Pro have that feature? And it does. You have to go in the top right. It doesn't display straight away. You have to click add destination and then you choose it from here. So double click save current frame. And then when you do it again, click in the top right, it comes up there, save current frame. And then you just give it a name, click next, and then choose where to save that image and in what format. So that's pretty straightforward. That's not a deal breaker. That's absolutely fine. As long as you can do these things, I'm happy. The more I used Final Cut Pro, the more I started to like it. But it's just, I don't know, the quality of the image, I'm on better quality as well. The quality of the image just doesn't look as good. Yeah, it just doesn't look as good. Look at that. That is proper 4K image, and that just looks a little bit, it doesn't look very sharp. One feature that I find really handy in Premiere Pro is the use of keyboard shortcuts and ripple edits. When you're scrubbing through your footage and you want to edit really quickly, I've set my keyboard shortcuts up to ripple edit. So if I press Q, it takes everything from this playhead and deletes it up until the previous clip. So it moves everything for me, so I don't have to delete it, then select the select tool again, and then drag it into place, and then uncheck the select tool and click the blade tool again, and then do the same. It's nice and easy. Press Q and it shifts everything. It deletes that clip, shifts everything. If I want to make a cut there, I press Z, makes a cut, and then I might want to skip to this frame here, press Q, and it moves, it cuts it and moves everything for me. If I want to trim the end of this clip where I'm poking my eye out, I click W and it removes everything from the right and moves everything up there. So it's nice and simple. So I wanted to see if Final Cut Pro has a function like that, and it does. So you have to turn on the snapping. It's like a magnet basically, so you can't move anything around it. It snaps in place. And then if you just shorten these clips, as you can see, it keeps everything tight to there. If I were to cut this clip here, I'll then select this and then get rid of it by pressing X. So it gets rid of it there. Installing LUTs, that was another thing. I thought, can I use the LUTs that I always use in Premiere in Final Cut Pro? And yes, you can. That's nice and simple. Click on your clip, click the info button. Where it says basic here, you go on, click general, and then camera LUT, where it says none, go over and add custom LUT. Then go to where your LUTs are saved. So installing LUTs is really straightforward, so not a problem there whatsoever. What you don't have in Final Cut Pro is default adjustment layers. Now adjustment layers are really handy to make adjustments to, so that you're not affecting the original clip. So I can just make adjustments and color shifts to this adjustment layer rather than adding the color to every clip. I can just select an adjustment layer, put it over the top of everything, and then that would affect all of the clips that are underneath. And you can turn them on and off to see what the original clip looks like. So adjustment layers are really handy. In Final Cut Pro, they don't have them set up automatically. You have to make your own or download them. And it's not a big deal, I suppose. Once you've made your own and saved it as a template, that's it then. Once you've got it, it's sorted. But it is nice to have it as a feature right there and not have to worry about making your own. Audio presets. Now I've done a video all about audio presets and how to make your own audio presets and save them, so that every time you come to editing your audio, you can just drag and drop these presets on and everything's done. And I've also got a preset pack that you can download so that you don't have to make any of your own and spend time doing that yourself. You can just download my pack off the website, plonk them straight into your project. So go and check that video out, I'll link it up. I think it's this side, is it this side? But you can't use them in Final Cut Pro, unfortunately. So I thought maybe you can create and save your own presets within Final Cut Pro, but you can't. All you can do in Final Cut Pro is add effects and save a preset for the individual plugins that you're using. So for example, you can save an EQ plugin, a compression plugin, but you can't save both of them together as one, unfortunately. So that's not great. So you're going to spend more time doing that. As far as I know, I've only spent a couple of hours looking at this, so please in the comments down below let me know if you can do that, and I apologise if I've got that information wrong to anybody that uses Final Cut Pro and Final Cut Pro and Apple themselves. Sorry. It'd be nice if it was straightforward like it is in Premiere. However, what I will say about the audio is, because I'm familiar with Logic, it's nice to have familiar plugins like the EQ and the compression plugins. So when we open the compressor, for example, this is really familiar because I'm used to using it within Logic. So all the dials and everything come really naturally to me. So I like the fact that it uses the plugins from Logic Pro within this interface. I think it's a really good idea. So that's pretty much it. I think the more I've used Final Cut Pro over the past couple of days, the more actually I've found out the similarities between the two programs, and I probably could get along with it with a bit more time. So I've got the trial for 30 days. I'm gonna probably try a couple more projects on it, see how I get on with it, and have a good think about it. But now it's a again, I apologise, it's weird because that 4K footage seemed to play back seamlessly. It was fine then, So I don't know what's going on with my computer. After I film this, it'll probably be really lagging again. Really, they're very similar. I suppose it's hard transitioning onto another program that you're not used to when you've been using another program for so long. So that's always going to make it a bit more difficult, and you're always going to be more skeptical when you're used to something and you've been using it for years. I do want to say though that there are loads of people that make amazing videos much better than mine using Final Cut Pro, and they've got no problems using it whatsoever, and they look great. So I'm not saying that Final Cut Pro is bad at all. These are just my opinions based on how I work, my workflow, and also what I'm used to, and the things that I've been using for years are in a certain place. So it's always different and always daunting when you're trying to navigate something that's laid out in a totally different way, and you need to work quickly as well. So having to learn a new piece of software and system and the way things work is really time consuming. So it can be frustrating when you can't find what you need straight away, especially the simpler things, but I'm sure it's all there. You just need to get used to it. And with that in mind, please don't discount trying Final Cut Pro if it's something that you're looking at doing, whether it's saving money or the performance of your computer. Now, that's worth mentioning as well that Final Cut Pro is a one-off payment and Premiere Pro is a subscription-based payment. So it'd be nice having just a one-off payment and then you don't have to think about it anymore. I suppose it just comes down to which program you prefer in the end of the day. But I do have the Adobe suite, and you've got access to a load of other programs within that as well. So it's good having a lot of different programs that talk to each other and you can use them together. So I guess that is another really good bonus feature of having Premiere Pro and that bundle. But yeah, if you're thinking about it, give it a go for a good week. Give it a really good chance. Research how to do things. That's the best way. That's the only way of doing it, really. If there's something that you use a lot, if there's a technique or an application that you use a lot, just Google it, go on YouTube, find out how to do that thing, and eventually it'll become second nature, just like Premiere Pro did to you when you were learning that. And you never know, it might help inspire you to do things in a different way, and you might even find a different style based on the software that you're using, because you have to do things slightly differently. So it's worth giving it a go. I think that's everything. I think I've covered most things that I wanted to. So if you are still watching, thank you very much for tuning in and sticking around to this point. Really appreciate it. Please subscribe to the channel for more gear reviews and tutorials. Like the video, share it with your friends. Comment down below if you've got anything to say, anything to add, or any questions, and I will reply to you. I do my best to reply to all the comments. And thank you again. Thanks for watching. See you next week.